Basically what we want to do is introduce you to the practice and go over some of what our responsibilities are and what some of your responsibilities are as a patient. When we first opened up Affinity Health and Wellness, it was kind of based on some of the injuries that I had. When I was hurt on a football injury, nobody ever told me what was wrong with me. So it was kind of scary going through some of this treatment and never really knowing what I was trying to do or what my goals were. So that's what we based the practice out of. But affinity basically means to have an attractiveness towards something. And Affinity Health and Wellness stands for people who are attracted to improving themselves and learning how to improve the lives of others. But where I want to take you today is I want to take you from the furthest spots in the universe down to the smallest cell in your body. On the 24th day of conception, the heart's already starting to form. When you get to the 36th day, the eyes have already started to form. But 7 hours after conception, your body already starts to make the nervous system. So that's how important the nervous system is. The nervous system basically controls and coordinates every function that happens in your body. So this is what's inside of you. So Mike and I will tell you that we're not the doctors that do the healing. And there's never been a doctor in the world that has ever done the healing. All they've done is help put things back in place and had your body do the healing for you. The doctor who heals, mends, protects, and regulates. And sometimes we have people who say, no, I had surgery and my doctor healed me. Or, you know, it's the medication that's healing me. There's two things that are constantly happening in the universe. There's breakdown and there's creation. If you take an apple and it's on a vine, that apple stays healthy. You water it, you put fertilizer to it, it stays nourished, it stays healthy. That's what your nervous system is to your body. It's the vine that runs to your body, to your organs. If you snip that vine, and now that apple's left alone without the connection to the rest of it, what happens to the apple? It starts to die, it starts to wither away. It's constantly having forces trying to break it down. Same thing happens inside of your body. The majority of people that come in, they have pain. It's neck pain, it's back pain, it's pain going through the arms. And there's a reason why we have pain in the body. And the pain in the body identifies the body's limits, shows warning signs, and also helps you avoid serious injury. So pain is not always a bad thing. The majority of where healthcare is today in the United States, now we have the most advanced technology that's ever been created in the world as far as diagnostic goes and information and just technology that's gone into our healthcare. But our healthcare is really designed to be sickness care. We don't really have a healthcare system. We have a system that's more designed for when you're sick. Of all the countries in the world, guess where you think the United States is ranked in the world? Number 1 is Finland, all right? 7, 8, 9, Luxembourg, Australia, Austria. 28, we're ranked 28. But if you look at some of these other places, I mean, Slovenia, Canada, Taiwan, I mean, some of these places aren't even on the radar. But why does the United States rank so low? A couple things jump to mind. Number 1 is our paradigm as far as what we call healthcare is way off the mark. Our healthcare is really designed to be sickness care. The majority of our condition, whether it's through pharmaceutical commercials or mostly pharmaceutical commercials, that if you have a pain, you need to take this. You know, if the temperature's here, we need to get it down to here. It's more of an outside-in approach. Wait until you have the symptom, we'll treat the symptom. Get yourself comfortable and get an instantaneous relief rather than making a lifestyle habit and committing to a change that you know is going to be healthy. Or instead of just addressing the symptom, get to the cause of the problem. If you've got undetected cancer, does that make you sick or well? If you had cancer that was undetected, you didn't feel a single thing. Yeah, if cancer is there and it's, you know, we all have cancer cells in the body, but if it's actually starting to turn into cancer and it's there, but just because you feel good, it doesn't mean that you're well. I don't have a problem with people being on medication. Where I start to have a problem is when people want to use the medication feeling that they're using that to cure themselves and not taking the steps to make themselves healthy. Your pulse, your blood pressure, your breathing, respiration rate, all this stuff is innervated by the nervous system. It's stuff that we want to keep an eye on, basically your standard exam findings that we see. We want to have an idea of where you are at a baseline, but if we start pulling out each one individually and starting to try to drug each one of those to regulate it, it's eventually going to cause problems. If you look at the anatomy of the body, the only organ that's completely encased by bone is your brain. And that's because when God created this body, He knew that the brain was the most powerful piece in your body and we had to protect it. Between your brain and your body, we're connected through the nervous system. So if you want to move your little finger, you need to think about it and the thought process needs to go down and then put it into action. If you're going to digest your food, your brain needs to know about it and coordinate all the functions for that to happen. What we deal with in chiropractic is called a subluxation. And a subluxation is basically when a bone goes out of position and puts pressure on a nerve. And that's going to decrease the message from the brain to the rest of the body. But gradually, when you put pressure on these nerves and you start to lose some of that function and that message from the brain to the rest of those organs, you start to have problems. Only 10% of the nerves that are in your body actually cause pain. So one of the things a lot of people say to us is, well, you know, I'm feeling pretty good today. I don't think I need to get an adjustment. Well, by the time you feel the pain, it's usually to the point where you've actually started to activate or innervate some of the nerves that only make up about 10% of that joint or where that spinal nerve comes out of. Another question we get asked a lot is what causes us to have these subluxations or spinal misalignments? Most of what we see in the office as far as kids, we see a lot of the subluxations coming from the birth process. 20% of this office is under the age of 8. And we have a different adjusting technique that we do for children. But kids, it's very important for them to get adjusted young, just so we can keep them in alignment and keep the pressure off the nervous system. When I look at these growing pains, I remember being a kid myself, and I just had the worst growing pains. If you think of just the basic mechanics of the body, if the body starts to grow crooked, it's going to put uneven weight on the knees, the ankles, and you're going to start to feel some of the change in the pressure of those joints, and that causes a lot of that problem. But it also starts to put pressure on the nerves, and it can also start to damage some of the tissue that make up the spinal support system. The majority of the reason why adults get subluxations, actually the only reasons are you've either got physical stress, chemical stress, nicotine, caffeine, but your mental stress is probably one of the other biggest culprits that you're going to be dealing with. If you've got a lot of stress in your life, it's going to cause all kinds of problems in your body. One of the things I like about meditation or therapy techniques that kind of clear your mind is that it actually slows your thought process down. It clears your mind. And having a clear mind that's not going 100 miles an hour is very relaxing to the body. I just want to go over a couple things that makes us different than most other offices here. It's important for us, before we ever start with somebody, that they understand where they are. 43 is what we know as what the normal curve of the neck is. So we take your initial curve on your neck, and now we have a goal. Okay, so you might be 10 degrees, you might be 20 degrees. Now the goal is to get you as close to 43 as possible. We ultimately want to come back and take a re-x-ray and see how much correction have we made. Once you make the correction, then you get to keep that.